The green figure on my sister's bed. I was about 11 years old when this happened. My sister and I shared a bedroom back then. Two twin beds on opposite sides of the room, a small dresser between them, one window that faced the backyard. That night she wasn't home. She was sleeping over at a friend's house. So for the first time in a while, I had the room to myself. I remember feeling a little proud about it, like I was older somehow, brave enough to sleep alone. I went to bed like normal. Nothing felt strange. No bad feeling, no weird sounds, just quiet. Then I woke up. Not slowly, not groggy. I just opened my eyes, wide awake. The room was pitch black, the kind of dark where you can barely see shapes. The digital clock near my bed cast a faint red glow across the ceiling. 2:03 a.m. I don't know why, but I turned my head toward my sister's bed. Maybe because I wasn't used to it being empty. Maybe because something felt off. At first I thought my eyes were still adjusting, but then I saw it. There was something lying on her bed, on its back, perfectly still. The shape was humanoid, but not quite right. Too long, too stiff. Its arms were resting at its sides in a way that didn't look natural. And the outline was glowing, not bright, not like a flashlight, but a faint, sickly green, like something underwater. I couldn't see a face. No details, just the shape, just the glow. And the worst part, it wasn't transparent. It wasn't misty. It looked solid, like something was physically there on the mattress. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I remember thinking, my sister isn't home, so what is that? I didn't move at first. I just stared, trying to make sense of it, trying to convince myself it was a jacket, or a blanket, or my imagination. But the green glow didn't flicker. It didn't change. And it didn't disappear when I blinked. I felt fully awake, not half asleep, not dreaming, fully aware. That's when panic hit. I sat up fast and yelled down the hallway. "Dad!" My voice cracked, louder this time. "Dad!" Immediately I heard his bed shift, sheets rustling, then his voice. "What? What? What's the matter?" I could hear him scrambling out of bed. The hallway light switch was right outside my bedroom door, not near his room, so he was running in the dark. I could hear his footsteps hitting the floor hard, fast, urgent, as he ran down the hallway. And the whole time, the figure didn't move. It didn't sit up. It didn't turn its head. It didn't vanish. It just stayed there, lying on its back, glowing faint green, like it was waiting. I remember thinking, why isn't it reacting? Why doesn't it care that someone's coming? My dad was getting closer. I could hear him almost at my door, his breathing heavy, his footsteps loud. The noise alone should have startled anything in that room, but the thing on the bed didn't move. Then, click. The hallway light flipped on. Light flooded through the doorway, and in the exact instant the light hit the room, it was gone. Not fading, not dissolving, just gone. My sister's bed was empty, flat, untouched. My dad rushed in, flipping on the bedroom light. "What happened? What's wrong?" I was shaking, pointing at the bed. There was something there. He checked under the bed, in the closet, behind the dresser. Nothing. Of course, nothing. He told me it was probably a dream, that I was half asleep. But I know the difference between a dream and being awake. I had sat up. I had yelled. I had watched him run down the hallway. And that thing stayed there the entire time. It didn't disappear when I blinked. It didn't vanish when I screamed. It only disappeared when the light turned on. And that's the part that still gets me. If it was a dream, why did it wait? Why did it stay so long? Why didn't it react to the noise? And why did it look like it belonged there? Like it had been lying in that bed long before I woke up? I never saw it again. But for years after that, I refused to look at that bed in the dark, because part of me always wondered, what if it comes back when the lights are off? The thing in the projector room. When I was a teenager, I worked at a large movie theater, the kind with multiple auditoriums, sticky floors, the constant smell of popcorn butter soaked into the walls. Most of the time, the job was simple. Rip tickets, clean theaters, refill soda syrup. But one afternoon, my manager asked me to do something I had never done before. "Hey," he said casually, "can you go up to the projector room and clean up a bit?" Now, the projector room wasn't somewhere employees went often. It was upstairs, behind a locked door. Long, narrow, and almost always dark. This theater had 9 auditoriums, which meant 9 massive projectors all lined up in a row inside one extended corridor. Each projector faced a small rectangular window that overlooked its own theater. I grabbed some cleaning supplies and made my way upstairs. The moment I unlocked the door and stepped inside, the air felt different. Hot, stale, like metal and dust. The only light in the entire corridor came from the projectors themselves. Each one cast a faint beam forward through its little glass window. So the hallway wasn't fully black, but it wasn't lit either. It was dim, flickering, moving. Shadows stretched along the walls every time a scene changed in the movie below. Action scenes made the walls flash. Dark scenes made everything disappear. The hum of the machines filled the space. A low mechanical vibration. Constant. Heavy. I started cleaning near the entrance. Wiping surfaces, picking up debris, trying not to think about how isolated I was up there. About halfway down the corridor, something changed. I can't explain how. Nothing made a sound. Nothing visibly moved. But every single hair on my body stood up. Arms, neck, back. It was instant. Like my body reacted before my brain understood why. And then came the feeling. Dread. Not mild uneasiness, not nervousness. It was the kind of dread that hits your stomach and makes you feel like something is wrong in a primal way. Like danger. I froze. The humming of the projectors suddenly felt louder. Heavier. I slowly looked up. About 15 feet ahead of me, maybe more, maybe less. It's hard to judge distance in low light. There was something standing in the corridor. A shadow. Darker than the darkness around it. Not cast by anything. Not attached to any object. Just standing there. It had a shape. Humanoid. Tall. Still. I remember thinking, that's impossible. There's no one else up here. No footsteps. No door opening. No voices. No way someone walked past me without me hearing it. I stared at it, trying to rationalize, trying to make it into something normal. Maybe it was the angle of the projector light. Maybe stacked equipment. Maybe my eyes playing tricks on me. 5 seconds passed, and then it moved. Not slowly, not subtly. It stepped forward. Fast. Too fast. It didn't walk like a person. It didn't shuffle. It didn't hesitate. It surged forward in this unnatural gliding motion. And that was it. I didn't think. I didn't analyze. I ran. I have never bolted out of a room so fast in my life. I dropped the cleaning supplies. I didn't look back. I sprinted the entire length of that corridor, yanked the door open, and practically fell down the stairs. My heart was pounding so violently I felt dizzy. When I got downstairs, my manager looked at me like I was insane. What happened? I couldn't even explain it properly. I just said, "There's someone up there." He grabbed another employee and went to check. They were gone for several minutes. When they came back, they looked confused. "There's nobody up there." They even checked the corners, behind equipment, the far end of the corridor. Nothing. No one. No other access point. No way in or out besides that door. And I know what I saw. I know the feeling I felt. You don't get that kind of dread for no reason, and shadows don't charge at you. I never went back into that projector room alone again. Even now, years later, I still think about how it waited until I noticed it, about how it stood perfectly still, about how it only moved after I locked eyes with it. Sometimes I wonder, what if I hadn't run? And that question still gives me chills. The white figure in the tall grass. This happened while I was walking through a forest with someone else. It was late afternoon. Not dark yet, but the kind of light where everything feels slightly muted. The sky was pale, the air still, and the trees were quiet in that unnatural way, where even the birds seemed to be holding their breath. We were cutting through a path we'd taken before. It led past an old house that had been abandoned for as long as I could remember. The windows were broken, the paint was peeling, the yard had completely grown over with tall grass and weeds. No cars, no people, no signs of life. We didn't stop at the house. We just walked past it, pushing through the grass as we started heading back up a hill toward the road. The grass was long, waist high in some spots. It brushed against our legs as we moved. That's when I saw it. At first I thought it was just light catching something strange. But then it shifted. About maybe 20 or 30 feet away, it's hard to judge distance in tall grass, I saw a figure, bright white, not glowing like a flashlight, but bright enough to stand out clearly against the green. It was humanoid in shape, tall, thin, and it was holding something, a long walking stick. The stick was taller than the figure itself, rising straight up above it. It wasn't transparent. It wasn't blurry. It was solid, like someone had cut a human-shaped silhouette out of white light and placed it in the field. I stopped walking. "Do you see that?" I asked. The person with me looked in the direction I was staring. "What?" That word made my stomach drop. The figure moved. Not walking, not stepping. It just glided. The tall grass didn't part like something pushing through it. It didn't bend around it. It moved smoothly as if it was hovering inches above the ground. My heart started racing. "I'm serious. Right there. Do you not see that?" They shook their head. There was nothing in their eyes except confusion. But I could see it clearly. Bright white, holding that impossibly long stick, facing us. Then it started moving toward us. Slow at first, gliding forward, effortless, no sound, no footsteps. The grass around it barely reacted, and something about the way it moved felt wrong. Too smooth, too fluid, like it wasn't bound by weight or gravity. I felt a surge of panic hit my chest. "Let's go," I said quickly. We started walking faster, the grass whipping at our legs. I kept looking back. It was closer, still gliding, still holding the stick upright. And then it sped up, not gradually, suddenly, covering distance faster than it should have been able to. That's when I started freaking out. "It's coming! It's coming closer!" My voice was shaking. They still couldn't see anything. We were halfway up the hill now, the grass thick, the slope steep. I looked back again. It was gaining on us, the white silhouette cutting through the field like it wasn't even touching the earth. The walking stick never lowered. It stayed perfectly upright, taller than the figure, moving with it in one smooth motion. We started running, full sprint, breathing heavy, feet slipping in the grass. I could hear my pulse in my ears, and every time I looked back, it was closer, faster, almost matching our speed now. The hill felt endless. My legs were burning. The road at the top felt too far away, and I had this overwhelming sense that if it reached us before we hit the pavement, something terrible would happen. I don't know why I knew that, but I knew it. We reached the top, burst out of the grass, hit the road, and just ran. As soon as my feet hit concrete, I turned around one last time. The field was empty. No white figure, no tall stick, no movement in the grass, nothing. Just wind, just green, like it had never been there at all. I stood there, shaking, scanning the hill. "It was right there," I said. They swore they never saw anything, not even a shadow. But I know what I saw. It wasn't imagination. It wasn't a trick of light. It chased us. It got faster. And it stopped exactly at the edge of the road. That part still bothers me. Why stop there? Why not follow? Was it tied to that field? To that abandoned house? Or was the road some kind of boundary? I've never gone back through that grass again. And sometimes I wonder, if I had been alone that day, would it have needed to chase me at all? The figure on the orphanage grounds. I was 15 years old when it happened. That was over 30 years ago now, and I can still see it as clearly as if it were standing in front of me today. My junior high school had a history. Long before it became a school, it had been an orphanage, an old one, the kind built in a time when architecture was heavy and imposing. Tall windows, thick brick walls, long corridors that seemed to stretch forever. Even as kids, we knew the stories. Whispers about children who had lived there decades before. Stories about strict caretakers, about unexplained deaths, about parts of the grounds that always felt colder. Most of it was just schoolyard rumors. At least that's what we told ourselves. One evening, after school hours, I was walking across the backfield with a friend. We had stayed late. I don't even remember why. Sports practice, maybe, or just hanging around like teenagers do. The sun was low, not dark yet, but that in-between time where shadows grow longer than they should. The field behind the school was wide and open, uneven patches of grass, a few old trees scattered near the edge, the building itself looming behind us. We were halfway across when we both stopped at the same time. Neither of us said anything at first. We just stared. Near the far side of the ground, standing alone, not moving, was a figure, bright, not glowing like a light bulb, but pale, almost white. So white that it didn't blend with the evening light. It stood upright, humanoid, tall, still. The proportions were slightly off, just enough to make it unsettling. Too rigid, too smooth. No visible facial features, no clothes we could distinguish. Just a silhouette, white against the darkening field. I remember slowly saying, "Do you see that?" And without hesitation, my friend answered, "Yeah." That word changed everything. If he hadn't seen it, maybe I could have convinced myself it was my imagination. But he saw it too, exactly as I did. We both described it in whispers, tall, white, standing there. And then it shifted, not walking, not stepping. It moved in that same unnatural way, smooth, controlled, almost like it was gliding instead of touching the ground. It wasn't jerky, it wasn't transparent, it was deliberate. It felt aware. And I can't explain how, but we both felt the same thing at the same time. We were not supposed to be there. A wave of dread hit us. Not fear like a jump scare, but deep, gut-level wrongness. Like our bodies were telling us to leave before something happened. We didn't discuss it. We didn't count down. We just ran. Full sprint across the field, heart pounding, shoes slamming against the dirt. Neither of us looked back. Not once. The building doors felt miles away. When we finally reached the side of the school, we cut around the corner and didn't stop until we were completely off the property. Only then did we turn around. The field was empty. Nothing there. Just grass moving in the wind. We didn't talk much about it that night, but the next day at school we did. We compared details. Height, shape, color, distance. Every detail matched perfectly. Now, decades later, in our 40s, we can still describe it the same way. Tall, white, still, and the feeling. That feeling is what never left. Even now, when I think about it, goosebumps crawl up my arms. 30 years have passed. Life has happened. Jobs, families, responsibilities. But that image is frozen in time. Clear, sharp, unfaded. And sometimes I wonder, why that moment? Why us? Why there? And if that building had once been an orphanage, who or what was still standing on those grounds?